Ooh, hello and happy Friday the 13th. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Woo, hold on, I've got some feedback. Okay, there we go. Now, how are you? What y'all been doing? I'm so happy to see you. Hi, hi. Welcome to the members only live. We may not have a lot of people in here, and you know what? That's okay. Because this is just for us, and I've got a lot to talk about today, and you're going to be the first ones to see it. So that's the great. And hello, Auntie B. Hello. And looky there. Look, waving. Hello. And hello back. Hi there, my darlings. Hi. So I do see that people are watching. We don't have to have them in the chat, but if you want to say hello and let's get started. So do me a favor, if you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up for me, and we got a lot to talk about. First thing that I want to talk about is Higgy. Did you see the Higgy video? I mean, after all, that Higgy video, and there's more that's come out with Higgy, and I'm going to show you. First and foremost, I want to show you something that I have been talking about for a while, and this comes out from our DEA daddy, Sean. And if you don't know who he is, go follow him. He is with Going Through the Motions. And give me a second. We are going to take a look at this. This is going to blow you away. Hold on. Let me get here. There we go. Oh, no, where are we? There we go. Now, here we are, my darlings. Hang tight. Now, hang it with me. StreamYard has been a little wonky today. The music has been a little wonky. Not been able to play a few things. So hang tight with me. And here we go. And just as a little timeout, viewer discretion, if you know, you know. If you know DEA Daddy, you know. There's a lot of language. God bless him. Here we go. Let's take a look. Now, I want to make sure that we get this started.
Fast and Furious is going to change their life forever. But yeah, back in the day when I was working with the ATF, I kept saying, well, you guys haven't had your ticket punched yet, but it's coming. And it did.
There we go.
Anyways. Yeah, Brian, you a fucking loser. You're a coward. And you ran out of there once you knew John was dead. And you did. You went up to Canton, right? Because you weren't going to get your cell phone. You probably didn't have your personal cell phone at the time. You had him. You probably went looking for it. But the bottom line is, Brian, right? There's a trail, my friend. There's a trail. You went right into that police department. You went right in. So there is a trail of you. They got your every move, okay? But Brian, 15 years down the drain, and you gave a proffer. This is what I don't get about you. Dude, Yannetti's not lying, right? He said during the federal proffer, Brian Higgins admitted to this, and that. What did you do? Did you really think you were that special, Brian? Because you came fucking a year after the fact to give a proffer because your attorney said, Brian, this is your only way out. And you give a proffer. Maybe you went back 2 or 3 times, right? Did you really think you weren't going to go to jail? Did you really? Let's face it, Brian. You saw a guy get killed. I don't know if you did it. I don't know if you helped. Maybe you didn't help. Maybe I believe that you told your buddies down there in Bridgewater. You know who you told. Remember the Boston cop that was sitting with you at that bar and he fucking ran out on you when he told you the story? You must have been feeling good. This must have been after you had that proffer and the FBI agents were thinking about what they're going to do. Were they going to give you a plea deal? Were they going to give you immunity because you felt they needed it? But you're all comfortable with your bros down there. And that Boston cop, when you came out and said, well, I didn't lay a hand on John, but I tried to get the dog off. I'm pulling the fucking dog and I'm doing this. And then John, he gets up and he hits his head and he's convulsing and he's vomiting. Ooh, Brian, that was said. That's a fourth time that was said. Right? Did you tell someone, Brian? Brian, did you tell someone after that night? Huh? Did you tell someone? Because you told it down in Bridgewater, right? That Boston cop ran. He says, hey, I can't be a part of it. Brian, I'm gonna tickle your mind now. I can't be a part of this. I can't be a part of this. And he fucking gets up. He didn't pay the bill. That's how scared. You made that guy run, and he fucking beat you for the check. He should have. Because you're a cop killer there, Brian. You're not only a cop killer, you're a lowlife trying to steal another cop's woman. Don't you have any class? Don't you know you never touch? Well, I mean, I guess you want to emulate your boy, Big Brian Al, because that's all he does. He goes after cops' wives and girlfriends, and both. He does it both. He takes a cop's wife who has a cop's girlfriend, right? He goes after both, and then he bangs them out if they push on him. So you try and emulate Brian, your little master, Brian fucking Albert, when you went after frigging Karen. Are you serious? You really think you were in? Did you really think at that time frame? You look good, pretty good right now. You must have gone and dried out. You know, that booze face is not on you anymore. But back in your heyday, when you were fucking banging out drinks left and right, do you really think you were in Karen's league? I mean, I guess it happened, right? Because we got the records. But guess what? Did you really think you? It's like, son, Brian, it's like when I was living in Colombia and Peru, right?
Figured him out.
And see, I've been around the block. I was around the block before I went to Peru and especially Colombia. But all these fucking white guys would come down, and they were in the Mecca of beautiful women, right? Some of these guys that Kevin, I mean, I shouldn't say this now, that nobody would take a second look at. And they got these smokers hanging on their arms, right? And
okay, so we're going to stop it there because I think Sean gets a little on the he gets a little overboard, as we know. But yeah. Then he goes on to say, and I tried to find it in the video, but he talks about how Brian describes that night and how there was a fight and how he didn't throw any punches. He was just trying to pull everybody apart. And I don't know if you know this, but I know some people who know people. I can say that. They say, supposedly, allegedly, that an ATF agent is trained in aggressive animal control. If an aggressive animal comes toward them, they are trained to get rid of them, eliminate, take them out, however you want to know, however you want to say it. Well, that night, supposedly, allegedly, Brian told this Boston cop that he didn't have time to do anything, and he didn't have his you know what on him, so he didn't have time to do anything, and he tried to pull Chloe off, and Chloe came after Higgy. Now that's the story that was told. Now if you know it and I know it, guess who else knows it? It is the feds that know it. This is probably why Brian got the proffer. It's a federal proffer, and proper proffer, and it's limited, I'm pretty sure. But the reality is, it's sickening. And then Higgy had his medical records. Well, they were sealed. Now, I've always wondered, because if he got, from my understanding, he got torn up a little bit. He got torn up. He got batched up from Chloe. And that was not a surprise because of the bites. Yes, Auntie BB too, because of the bites. And if you haven't seen it, you may want to take a look at the video that I made earlier, maybe a few weeks ago now, about how I had a conversation with two medical professionals that did not know anything about this case. One is my client, and the other one is from California, is a doctor from California. And I said, "Hey, can I show you pictures of my friend? He got banged up a little bit." The first one, I mean, both of them basically said, "Wow, what happened to the dog that did that?" I have nurse friends, I have nurse clients that come get readings for me. And when I say that to them, the first thing they say is, "Oh my heck, that's pretty nasty animal bite." That is not, that is not. Hi, Tarot Destiny. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming in. That is not anything from a tail light. Now, from what my medical professionals tell me, and look, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not law enforcement. I am a professional card reader and intuitive. That's where I get my info. But I've got a lot of experience working with, I'm going to say, some law enforcement. I've known some agents in the day. And you know what they tell me, and my doctor and my medical professional, my medical professional friends tell me that the elbow, your elbow, is one of the strongest places on your body. Think about it. Think about the force that you can elbow someone in. And those autopsy photos of John's arm, there was something around the elbow. Well, in my theory and my thought, he was either doing this, pardon me, he was either, see, do you notice I hit the camera or I hit the mic? He was either doing this to protect himself or he was doing this to protect himself. Now, I don't know about you. I'm going to tell you a little, here we go with card Momma Zelda. She's going to tell you a little story. I had an incident with a German Shepherd when I was 9. Our neighbors, we lived in a farm in Ohio, and our neighbors were farmers as well. And the daughter, Tammy, was in my class. I think I was about 9 years old. My sister is about, I don't know, 18 months older than me, something like that. So we went over to their farm to play. Now, what do you do when you go on a farm? Well, you play in the barn and you hook up ropes and you swing from one bale of hay to the other, and that's how it goes. The little brother, Tommy, who was younger than me, my sister was older, Tammy and I were same age, and then my little brother, or her little brother, Tommy, Tammy's little brother, was there also. I think he was about 2 or 3 years younger than me. Anyway, we're in the barn swinging. Now, the one important thing is the gentleman that owned that farm was also an Ohio State patrolman. And they had this German Shepherd as protection for the family. And this German Shepherd wasn't having it. We were in the barn playing, and I had never been around any aggressive animals before in my life. I mean, we knew enough to stay away from my uncle's hogs that were the size of a VW car. But other than that, we never went. We didn't have anything to do with. So we were pushing each other on this rope swing in the barn, back and forth. And I'm going to tell you, if I were to see that now, I would have just held my breath. I cannot believe some of the stuff that we did. But we were swinging, and this dog starts pacing on the barn floor. And every time we would push, we would scream. We're kids. We're screaming and having a good time and everything. And all of a sudden, I pushed Tammy on the rope swing. This dog and we're up high on these bales of hay. This dog comes barreling. I'm sorry. I screwed that up. My sister pushed Tammy, and Tammy lets out this big whoop I mean, she was having a good time. She lets out this big scream. This dog comes barreling up on over these hay bales for my sister. And what did my sister do? She pushes me in front of the dog. That dog grabbed a hold of my left leg, and I still have the scars from it. And of course, I'm screaming in a different way. The kids get the dog off. The mom comes out, and we go home. Now, my grandfather, one side I'm German Italian, the other side I'm Irish something or other. My grandfather comes over, the little Irishman, and he and my dad take something down that is double barreled because I was little. I mean, my little legs weren't any bigger than a straw. And high standing stones, you did make it. And they were ready to take that dog out. And basically, we just literally had to make an agreement. All was said, all was done. It was bad. I had to have some medical work for a while. Did my sister get in trouble? No. But the reality is those dogs are protective. It was a German Shepherd, and we never went to their farm to play again. They would come to ours. But, oh, I'm so sorry, Standing Stone. Sorry, but I'm glad you're here now. But we never went there again. And I've always had this thing. Now, I've had Dobermans, I've had, whatever, but I've never had a Shepherd, because I'm going to tell you, when they get aggressive and mean, and all you have to do is give that owner a look. So the moral of my story is, so in my heart of hearts, I feel Chloe attacked John O'Keefe, because that probably started out as this argument. Probably, because they all have big cake holes, right? They all have big mouths. They were drinking, probably started out, and somebody probably said something about Karen. Well, John's going to say something back. And John, based on the waterfall tape, you can see that he's watching them, because they're all puffing up and posturing and peacocking and doing all that and, acting like they're in junior high. And John's standing there wondering, ooh. And you know what? It gives me chills to think that those were the last moments in John's life, on video, on tape, watching them watch him. If that doesn't give you the heebie-jeebies, we have a really good comment here I want to put on the screen, and that is from Standing Stones. Hello, my darling. I love you. I was attacked by a full-size police-type German Shepherd while delivering oil in the mid-90s. Tore up my hand bad. Then I broke out with shingles. No fun. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. That's scary. And to this day, dogs, I love dogs. I love all animals. But I'll tell you, I've seen some of these police dogs in action. And you know what? You have to say, this just really wasn't Chloe's fault. No dog is born aggressive to that extent. Some, but, and wow, to have that type of aggressive dog. Now, the rest of the story was that Sean told, and that I believe, and I heard this before, and I've heard this story before, and that's what I based a lot of my readings on, and that's what I get. When you see my readings, that's what I get. And my perception of this reality is they were all mouthing off, and somebody said something about Karen. Because look, I personally believe, in my opinion, that I can say it here, we're friends, that Uncle Brian did or some type of something, gesture, pass, or something to Karen. I mean, why not? Look, the guy is the guy. And then Higgy baby, all this. And there was a fleeting moment where I sort of kind of felt bad. I sort of kind of felt bad for him. But no, I don't. And everything, I read the comments in my YouTube channel is about, why doesn't Higgy do the right thing? Well, that's the $64 million question. I think he's tried, and I think that he tried through the proffer, but I can tell you something, his life is ruined. Not only is it ruined by, he witnessed a crime, in my opinion, and he was an accessory. And when he cut and run down to the Canton Police Department, we all know why that was. To see if anybody had called any authorities or anything he was going to. And you can't tell me, pardon me, you can't tell me that he says he was talking to Chief Berkowitz. And then later on that day, now see, he didn't even leave the police department. Didn't even leave. The police department shows him coming into the Sally Port, and he didn't accept. He left. And why did he left? Why did he left? Hello? Why did he leave? Was because he got these calls from Uncle Brian. So he went back over to 34 Fairview to have this little discussion, and this just made me boil. That he has the gall, the intestinal fortitude to basically said, well, it wasn't an investigation yet. Are you an idiot? Please. Hello? You are supposed to be an ATF officer. You are supposed to be this big man on campus. Actually, Brian Higgins received some type of a merit award a few years earlier for being in some type of shootout, this fight, and he was able to save the day. Somebody else received a wound and blah, 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 and he got a merit. And I mean, so he definitely knows enough, but he knows enough to know that he knows too much. He knows enough to know that he knows enough. And I can tell you, I believe the feds have got him. Now, I hear he has a girlfriend. I don't know. I don't know if I would trust that. I mean, who's going to try? I certainly wouldn't want to have any type of mate, partner, or anything unless I was married before then and they're sticking together, and holy shamoly. Wow. So yeah, 9 years old and an injury to my left leg because we're playing in a barn and a German Shepherd got aggressive. Now it has you can barely see the scars anymore, but believe me, I sure as heck remember it. And I can tell you, hello, my little legs were about as big as this. So, and I can tell you I had a very protective grandfather that, oh boy, he was ready to go hunting. That was my grandpa. I was his little gal. So that's what's going on with Higgy. There's some things that have come out today. I want to share with you. Let's get started. Okay, hang in there, my darlings. I'm sharing my screen. And StreamYard has been a little on the wonky side today. So here we go. Here we go. Now, give me a second. I want to make sure that I do this right. Pardon me. Okay, so now we see this waterfall video, right? We see this. Let me see this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here because this is show more. This is what our DEA daddy put on. I believe it's pinned on his X, former Twitter account. It says how we know the feds were involved. Scanlon, who was the neighbor, breaks story to Team Reed on February 3rd of 2022. Team Reed knows who killed John and how they are being framed. March 2022. Karen asks Yuri if he is in on the joke. That Colin and Brian Albert killed John. Her taillight is cracked and John is pulverized. And that's June of 2022. Several witnesses being interviewed by FBI. Lucky emerges and mystery Ford Edge scene where John was later found. That's Lucky Loughran, who is the snowplow driver with, what is it, Frankentruck, something like that. Suspicious duffel bag taken from the residence of associate of Trooper I can't say his name, Trooper Proctor in March of 2023. Friends, the duffel bag. All right. FBI goes overt and hands out federal grand jury subpoenas in April of 2023. See, isn't this a great timeline here? Thank God we've got him. All CW witnesses and troopers testify in the grand jury is in summer of 2023. Lieutenant Tully knows his boss's phone was intercepted by the feds on October 2023. 8 letters emerged between Morrissey, and the DOJ. A USA Levy, which is Josh Levy, states he can't allow case to go to trial. 3,074 pages from TUI, process provided by DOJ. Brian Higgins. Here we go, my darlings. Higgy baby gives a federal proffer. Higgy and Uncle Albert. Isn't that a song? We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. Yeah. Okay, so Uncle Brian, phone call at 2:22 a.m. revealed, and they both lied. Gee, are we surprised? Proctor lied to the state grand jury, had to admit that in the federal grand jury. Well, my goodness, do we expect anything more from that guy? Caitlin Albert forced to change her story to the Fed grand jury. Uncle Brian and Higgy Baby destroyed their cell phones. The FBI telephone data lab confirms the McCabe 2027 Google search, and that is the Haas Lang to die in the cold. Giving a gift from a mother of Colin Albert to Proctor emerges. Vile texts about Karen emerge from personal cell of Proctor. The DOJ paid accident reconstruction firm says Karen did not strike John. Secret video emerges from inside of 34 Fairview. A lot of attention focused on the bulkhead. What else? Isn't that amazing? Higgins. Here we are again with Higgy Baby forced to admit to seeing a tall, dark-haired male inside 34 Fairview. That was John, but he couldn't go back on his testimony. Matt McCabe advises Chris Albert to say the man never went in the house. That was on a group text. Allie McCabe testimony and her Life 360 collide. None of this info came from the CW. The FBI was behind all of this information, it is what they haven't revealed to us, should concern the key McAlbert players. And yes, yes, I agree. And look, now you see that man circling there? I've got I don't know if you can see this. Yes, Paul McCartney, 1971. You got it. We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. Chris Albert grabbing Higgins' arm, but there's a gentleman that walks around here, and it looks like he's doing everything that he can. Now that is our sweet John O'Keefe, and Karen sitting there. Though there's Karen and there's John. His last moments. What was he thinking? What was he thinking? So they start getting antsy. But my darlings, you see this guy right here? Look, he's coming around here. Who is he? That's what I want to know. He heard this. He heard all that trash. He heard that crap. And there's another one there. There were two people there. There's another one walking through. There's two people there. And what do they have to say? Have they been questioned? Do we know? Standing Soames says, Karen said to Yuri while being booked, "We are all in the same joke, right?" She is correct. It's kind of creepy. Auntie BB2, while I'm glad Scanlon, why can't I talk? Oh, it's Friday the 13th. I can blame it on that now. While I'm glad Scanlon called the defense but refused to sign an affidavit, why won't he fess up to who told him and this? My darling, I'm going to tell you something. I'd be scared to death, and I'm dang well fearless. You don't know if these dirty cops can walk in and do something to try to make something look differently in a crime scene. I'd be scared. I wouldn't want to leave my house. And then again, I wouldn't want to stay there. You don't know. I've seen Scanlon. He just looks like a regular nice guy. Nice haircut. Looks like a regular guy. But I don't know if he was. I think he was a neighbor, is what my understanding was. But I don't know if he was involved with the Boston PD or if he was a cop, from my understanding, he was a neighbor. Zelda, I understand that, but if we know Scanlon called AJ, BA knows too. Of course he does. Of course he does. But remember, sometimes a lot of that is hearsay and not fact. Now, if Scanlon brought forward a ringtone, which I think they probably did, I think the feds probably have something. If they brought forward a ringtone type of thing, then yes, there's enough fact. See, here's the thing, my darlings. Okay, no, wait a minute. Elizabeth. Scanlon worked for Brian Albert. I don't know. Did he? I don't know. All I know is that he went forward to Yannetti, and then when Yannetti was trying to talk to him and take some type of video and or a recording, then Scanlon backed up and said, "Oh God, no, can't do it. I can't do it." So I would be scared too. I mean, after all, in the next door house, they take out John and lay him on the lawn, and these jerks try to cover it up. And by the way, I'll tell you a theory that I know about how to cover up things like this. And it's what is used when something like this needs to be covered up. I'm going to share that in a minute. Found something else that's really interesting here. that I want to show. Let me see. I asked Sean that during the trial. Sean said someone told Scanlon. Scanlon didn't witness it. I know who that someone was. It was his daughter. It was his daughter. And that's why, yes, Elizabeth, that's why he's scared. And Standing Stone says, I think the Sarah girl told her best friend, another girl, about what really happened the very next day, and the girl was possibly Scanlon's kid. There was definitely some, yeah, it was too close to home. And frankly, it's easy for us to say, pardon me, it's easy for us to say, oh, well, they need to do the right thing and they need to, I'm going to tell you something. That's mind bending to know that you live beside evil. Here's the deal, my darlings. Evil does not quit. Evil, even in the most treacherous times, feels that it's going to win. We've all read the back of the book. We know what evil is all about. And the more evil there is, the more people that they want to take down with them. The only way that you have to defeat them. You have to defeat evil. You can't just sit back and pray that evil does the right thing, because evil will never do the right thing, only by what they feel is by themselves. And you watch, because what we're coming to now is because Hickey Baby, and like I said, I almost felt sorry for Hickey Baby on the stand when he was talking about his father and not having anybody. Hickey Baby has been married 2 times, most likely not again. And this is some guy in prison called Bruno. Other than that, I doubt it. Pardon me. But this type of evil you're going to see, because when all of this starts to break, and by the way, I know that all of you have heard that Matthew Farwell turned down his detention hearing for September 12th. What do you think that is? You see, they've got bad actors planted all over the place. And unfortunately, around the Boston area and in several areas of Massachusetts, there is rampant corruption. Way back. And I have another little bit of news that maybe none of you, and I'm sorry, got the Diet Coke today. The weather has changed. I'm so thrilled. It is no longer this heat that is unmanageable. It is now rainy and 74 degrees, the perfect day in my book. And the leaves are starting to turn and they're starting to fall, and the humidity is starting to go around. And I've got my favorite jeans jacket that is beat up, and I'm probably not going to ever get rid of it until whenever. But the allergies, the pollen warnings are very, very high today. So that's why I sound like I've got a gravel bucket in my throat. But anyway, my darlings, Hickey Baby is an issue. Why is he an issue? Well, first of all, they have no allegiance to them. See, an enemy's enemy is an enemy's friend. And when you start seeing all of this rhetoric and muck and mire and mayhem coming down, what you're going to see is they're all going to start turning on each other. They can't keep the script up very long. I don't know if you've seen Microdot's video about the same script with Matthew McCabe and Jen McCabe, and how they almost at the same time say the same thing. And they're all on the same page. They all have that. And by the way, if I could have that voice that Microdots, the female version of the voice that Microdots uses, I've told him this. We have a little chuckle over it. I love Microdots. If he is amazing, and if you haven't seen him before, I will try to put a link in the description so you can go to his channel. All you have to do is Google or search at the YouTube, pardon me, search in the YouTube search bar, Microdots. You'll find him. And that voice, he had me at hello. I love Richie. He's wonderful. But if I could do the female version, so here I am. Let's do the female version of Microdots. I may have to start doing videos like him because I'm just such a fan and he knows it. So here's the Zelda deal. Hi, I'm Zelda, and Hickey Baby goes to testify on the Karen Reed case. Okay, that's the Zelda. But maybe this should be the Microdots version. Maybe this should be Micro Zelda. Maybe this should be Micro. Hello, I'm Zelda. And today Hickey takes the stand. And then here we go. Hickey takes the stand. He won't tell the truth. We know he won't. And within seconds, we will hear of the lies that he tells on the stand in front of God and everyone. Will he get away with this? No, he will not. Because you cannot fight evil. You can only defeat it. Thank you. All right, that's my go. Let me see. Here we go. Auntie BB, did you see the Microdots video where he lays out what happened in the faces and the pictures of frames? Honestly, listen, I have shared that video. I'm going to have to show this to Richie. I have shared that video with so many people. The picture frames, and he's coming out with a new revised version of my absolute favorite one. It's called Fatal Error. He's redoing it. He's coming out with an updated version. And I'm going to tell you, the whole thing gives me goosebumps. Oh my. These reenactments that he does is just amazing. And I'll be reading for Richie one of these days. We're going to get together and I'll read for him. And we have a lot to talk about. But he's wonderful. And if you haven't seen him, I think everybody here has. If you haven't seen him, go give him a follow and tell him that Card Momma Zelda sent you. All right, so back to this. I've got something else I want to share with you, and you're gonna love this. All right, let me see first of all where we are, because I don't want to share the wrong screen forevermore. That would be disastrous. Here we are, darlings. I'm about to share a screen in Micro Zelda. All right, here we are. You're gonna love this. Yes, this is the correct screen. Now, this talks about, and I'm going to leave you for a minute, and I'm going to put the whole thing up here. Maybe. Let's see. There. No. There we go. That's better. That's better. Now, I want to share this with you because, we tend to look at these headlines. Karen Reed case heads to the Supreme Court, Supreme Justice Court, Judicial Court. Thank you very much. And it talks about Mr. Weinberg and, all this other stuff. But I want you to take a look at the bottom. That is top Canton cop on the Reed case is retiring. That's Lieutenant Gallagher. The senior Canton police officer who oversaw scene operations at 34 Fairview Road on the snowy January 2022 morning, Boston officer John O'Keefe died is set to retire. Now, I want you to see something there for a second. Do you see how they described it? This is from the Boston Herald. Did you see how they described this? It didn't say murdered. It didn't say ran over. It just said died. Now, of course, they can't put that in there. Not yet, but they will. Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, the town's top earner last year. Now, get this. Hold on to your seats there, my darling, there, Zeldanators and tarot crab, lime, whatever, lab crime, because you see how this is upsetting. Tarot crime lab investigators. I'm getting it together. Last year, $322,389.05. Let's just get it down to the penny. Has submitted his retirement papers with the select board approved on Tuesday. He has served 30 years in the force. So I wonder how much more he's going to serve. A Herald analysis of the town's payroll for 2023 found that 4 of the Canton police officers who responded to that scene that morning earned more than, are you ready, my darlings? You're going to see where this is going. Earned more than $200,000 in total pay last calendar year, with Gallagher at the top. Gallagher, who took the stand in early May during the Karen Reed murder trial, testified to overseeing the scene operations, and he did a crappy job, including securing the site, boo, wrong, lie, collecting evidence in red Solo cups and shopping paper bags, and interviewing witnesses. Really, which ones? Nothing about the scene was standard. Well, of course not. When you use a leaf blower, Gallagher said of all the Canton property that morning of January 29th of 2022, he testified he had never secured a crime scene in the snow during his 30 years career. Well, I got news for you there, Lieutenant Gallagher. You didn't secure this one either. Hello? He said he used a leaf blower. I would be embarrassed. Would you not be embarrassed? He said he used a leaf blower and to gently remove the snow from the area where other officers told him O'Keefe's body had been. So he didn't even know. Don't you think of something to this magnitude that you're going to call your lieutenant early on a Sunday morning and get his hiney out to the crime scene? Don't you? Maybe, am I thinking maybe too straight? I don't know. He said he used a leaf blower to gently remove snow from the area where other officers told him O'Keefe's body had been. Now, time out. He used a leaf blower. Pardon me. He used a leaf blower. They gathered evidence in a Solo cup. They were stomping all around the crime scene, and yet they didn't see any tail-like pieces until later. There, Gallagher said he collected 6 samples of presumed blood from the area in red Solo cups. This is the biggest joke. And located a shattered piece of a drinking glass. But he said under cross-examination, he saw none of the broken tail light pieces police would say they later found at the scene. This is in writing, my friends. This complete joke. O'Keefe died at the age of 46 when prosecutors allege his girlfriend of 2 years, Reed, 44, of Mansfield, backed her Lexus SUV into him at high speed, leaving him to die in the cold. How long to die in the cold? During a major snowstorm. Defense attorneys counter that outside actors, bad actors, killed O'Keefe and conspired with state and local police to frame Reed for his murder. Gallagher's base salary last year was $153,101.27, but he earned more than double that with $100,972.16 and details and $52,938.54 payroll records show. How do you like that? How do you like that? $322,000. What kind of pay was that for? Zelda and all the Alberts got town Ford probes. How's that? Yeah. Auntie BB, I'm sorry. If I've been found guilty of a crime while employed, you should lose your retirement regardless of how long you've been retired. You should lose everything, especially at the taxpayer expense, as well as your victim. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Did Gallagher know up front, let's see, up front door, there's a dead Boston cop on your lawn? Don't you think somebody would have really said something to somebody? It's absurd to think that they use the leaf blower, etc. Oh, get me started. Oh, yeah, hello, you see it. Was another 24 hours and later, right? All BS of the Canton. Yes, sucks. Yes. Massachusetts, thank you for making Louisiana look squeaky clean. Right? Right? I knew you would like that one because I want you to know something, my darling. They probably told Lieutenant Gallagher, you know what? You know what, Lieutenant? You made a lot of money here. And we're thinking that you may not have been involved with that, but you were an accessory. The fact that you didn't even block off the crime scene and that other people came back later and that they just, you know. So Lieutenant Gallagher, since you've been here for 30 years, don't you think it might be a good thing if you just, well, leave while you can, play dumb while you can? David Yannetti had a nice little thing this morning, and it was funny, and I'm going to share that with you right now. Give me a second. Oh yeah, I'm a sharing mama today. I've got so much to tell you. Whoops, I hit the wrong thing. See, look, hello, Friday the 13th. Here we are, screen share, and that we are going to do. David Yannetti had his way with a lady on, and not a good way, had a lady on Twitter. Let's see what's going on. I still call it Twitter. Let me see. David Yannetti posted, and he pinned it. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without effort and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. We are in the arena. The triumph of high achievement is coming. Justice is coming. Now, hold on, my darlings, because you're going to love this. This person, Jennifer Coffindaffer, you know she is retired. She's a retired FBI agent. Says to Yannetti, pathetically plagiarized from the great Theodore Roosevelt without giving President Roosevelt question. Now, I'm going to tell you something. He did not, and he did put those in quotes. And this is David Yannetti's answer, which is like slam daddy. This is what he answered. My goodness, what a silly, unsophisticated person you are. Oh my gosh. As if anyone does not recognize the famous words of Teddy Roosevelt, words that have inspired many for generations and continue to inspire me today. I put his words between quotation marks specifically to attribute them, not to take credit for them. In addition to a strunk and white lesson, you could use a refresher course in constitutional law, as you obviously have zero respect for the presumption of innocence. Please go away and pontificate about some case that you actually understand. Hello. David Yannetti speaks. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? And Standing Stone says, I grew up in Boston and the cops of Area E were bad. They got exposed for their rampant criminal activities while supposedly working for citizens of Boston. Absolutely. Auntie BB2 says, when I learned about this case in December of 2023, I didn't understand why they didn't wear body cams. Oh boy, now I know. Yeah, now you know. Elizabeth says, bravo, you betcha. You betcha, bravo. My goodness. Wasn't that Yannetti? They are all darlings. And I'm going to tell you, people are now saying that they are very concerned that Karen's defense team, which is AJ, which is David Yannetti, and Mr. Weinberg, and Miss Little, are not going to stay because she may be having difficulty paying them. I'm going to tell you that. Don't worry. They're not going to bail on Miss Karen. They are committed to this case because they see the raw evil. They're not going. If they bailed right now, do you know what would happen to her? And many lawyers would have bailed on her a long time ago. I know that happens. Believe me, I've got clients that's happened to. The client of mine that was arrested, she had 3 lawyers bail on her, and she was falsely accused of murder. That's a frightening thing. And you know what I want you to think about? You never know. That's why, especially in this day and age, yeah, I have opinions. I have opinions about certain things, certain dates coming up, like November 3rd. I have certain thought processes about, but I'm going to tell you, I'm careful. You have to be. You have to be careful, because I'm going to tell you, I could never afford the dream team that Karen has. She was lucky. She was blessed. And I'm going to tell you that Officer John O'Keefe would have never, ever, ever wanted her to hold the bag for this. And I think this is why Higgy was struggling. Look, here's the deal. I've been around the block. I've read a lot of people who have relationship things and issues. Cheers. And I'm going to tell you what the difference is with Higgy Baby. The issue with Higgy Baby is this. He was enamored with her. I think he was genuinely awestruck. Here is this smart and adorable gal that gave him a little bit of attention. In other situations, I mean, he may be okay looking, you know, as they say in the movie, in a penal code sort of way. Not now. But at that time, we've all been there. And at that time, he kept asking her, did you notice? He kept asking her, what are you doing? What do you want? What do you want with me? Because the first thing he's thinking of is, geez, I'm just an agent. I may not be good enough for this girl. She's a professor. She's in finance. She's this. She's that. She owns her own home. And by the way, if I could figure out how to buy Karen's home that's for sale, I would do that and let Turtle Boy move in just to make them all mad. Anyway, so Higgy was in awe. He was awestruck over her. Read the text and read them without knowing that Higgy was an accessory. And he just really thought something was going to go. And then when she walked into the bar that night and didn't give him the time of day, I don't want to laugh, but you've been there, done that. And then she didn't give him time of day, and he is texting her while they're at the waterfall and at the other place. And she's not answering. So what does that do? The drinks start going. And now he starts thinking, well, so I know he told Jen McCabe. I know he told Uncle Brian, and that was a good excuse. Now, I also feel something else was going down because there's too many little intertwinings with our dear Sandra Birchmore. And I think that they thought that maybe Karen knew because, you know, hey, listen, cops talk, whether they're not supposed to or not. Cops talk. And the fact that they thought, because look at the timelines. Look at the blizzard. Look, Matthew Farwell decides that he wants to do this. It was premeditated blizzard. He wants to do this in the blizzard. And then what happens? They see a blizzard coming because they know things can screw up. But there was a certain amount of red stuff. And Sean, and I couldn't find it. Sean posted it. That Uncle Brian called this Nick Marathis, I think his name is, and said, you got to help me clean this up. And Uncle Brian, when Nick got there at 34 Fairview, Uncle Brian said, oh yeah, Nicole was sick. She fell and hit her head. And Nicky Marathis said, what in the heck? What in the how in the hell? What is happening? That all of this would be there, this red stuff. You know what I'm talking about, all of you. And so there were mistakes made along the way. So, okay, so look, we've come to this far. Look, okay. Oh, Zelda, they would lose their minds if Turtle Boy moved in. But I'm like, oh yeah, hello, I'm here for it. Start losing your minds. Go on. And also says, I think it's the other side spreading the rumor of them leaving. You can tell, especially AJ. This case is a mission for him and he's not walking. Absolutely. And I don't know if you know this or not, but AJ represented Harvey Weinstein in his last case that got his conviction overturned. Whether we like it or not, it's the law. But as of yesterday, they re-indicted Harvey Weinstein again. So AJ's got himself another job. What? Okay, so now I'm going to tell you, this is how to cover it up. Ready? This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a law professional. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not law investment. What am I talking about? I am not law enforcement. I'm not a law investigator. I'm not a medical investigator. I'm an expert at reading cards. And no, I'm not the TikTok psychic either. But allegedly, supposedly, hypothetically, this is how to cover it up. There are 3 criteria that you must need, and sometimes 4. The first thing is to determine whether it was a premeditated or for something that was an accident. That's number 1. Number 2, deciding who all the character actors are that are involved, who they know, what they know, and what they know about the accident or premeditated crime. Thirdly, is most important, you decide who is to blame. And if you don't like it that that person is to blame, you use what is called an SOS move. Now, most of us know that SOS is save our ship. But in this particular case, it is swap out suspects. Sounds familiar? When that time comes and you have that little meeting, just like Higgy Baby did before he spoke to Proctor, just like Proctor had, I think, approximately 43 minutes that he decided that he was going to pin it on the girl of Karen Reed. The amazing thing is there was no investigation. And in Higgy's testimony on day 17 of the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, he was correct. As mad as it makes me, AJ asked him, you went over to 34 Fairview and you met with the families, the McAlberts. And Higgy Baby says, yes. I know I'm paraphrasing now. And Higgy Baby says, we were talking about what could have happened. AJ said, you mean you were talking about the investigation? And Higgy says, there was no investigation. Not until after they had that meeting at 34 Fairview Road, there was no, in their mind, investigation, because they had already decided to SOS, swap out suspects. So then they put all of this into motion, never, ever believing that Karen Reed could do exactly what she had done, which was get the defense dream team. Just a minute, someone's scratching where they're not supposed to be. Hello, over there. Sammy Deal. It's Mama Kitty getting on herself. All right, here we are. Sorry about that. They never thought that Karen would be smart enough to understand and to know what happened. Why did she know this? Because John told her. Well, how did John tell her? Well, John had told her things from before. Why else would she know that this is just a joke, right? Why else would she say that to Yuri about Uncle Brian and Colin? Y'all are in on the joke, right? She knew right from the beginning. They never guessed. They underestimated her. And from there, the lies went over and above. And the dream team entered and they pushed it. And the CW tried to do everything they could to squelch it. Another reason of the three to make sure who you know, where they go, and what they will do. Same with Sandra Birchmore. They all knew. And Mr. Nicky G. Garino, there I said it, Mr. Garino, who is also involved. Because, you know, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is nothing. And you can definitely be involved. You can definitely be, because there are two ways of lying. It's guilt by omission, and then there is guilt by, I believe it's called commission, where you just, I don't know, you lead them off to, whatever. They've tried everything that they can, and you can tell that this is now a setup because of how they swapped the just remember the SOS theory. Swap out suspects. Hide. Get on the same page. Make sure there is a script. Make sure that you know everything that you're doing. And make sure we stick to the story. They thought by now that Karen would be in prison. Why did they want her to go to prison so badly? Not only for this crime that they have committed, but because of what they feel she knows. And maybe she knows a lot more than what she's saying, my darlings. And I think so. Standing Stone says Area E was comprised of West Roxbury, Rollinsdale, Hyde Park, maybe a little of JP2. The coups in question ripped off drug dealers, kept 90% of the monies taken. The coups, I think you meant the cops. The coups sound good, though. I'll say the coups. And I'll read it as Micro Momma Zelda. They had the lowest reporting dollars intake. That's absolutely correct. I love it. That's how it's done. How many others are SOS? Not so sure what you mean by how many others. You mean how many other cases or how many other people? That is just kind of like your common outline of if you're involved in any type of this crazy, nasty, horrible type of lifestyle. My darlings, I want to tell you something. Like anything, if you are involved, what I do, I do my readings, I do YouTube, I do paranormal investigations. I've got a lot of things more that I'm going to be doing before the end of the year. And I'm doing. And you know what? This is my lifestyle right here on YouTube with all my Zeldanators and my Tarot Crime Lab investigators. That's my lifestyle. But when you enter this life of crime, you dig yourself so deep you never, ever get out. And that's where Higgy, circling around, that's where Higgy baby made his mistake. His mistake was that instead of going down to Canton PD, he should have went to his best friend, the one that was also an ATF officer, agent that helped him get all of the information off of his phone. Don't you wish you knew the rest of it that was on there? He just redacted what the texts were between him and Karen, and the rest of it went kaflooey. I think the feds know. We'll know later. Higgy, this is the first, you can tell this is the first time Higgy's ever been involved with anything like this at all. They lured him in. And believe me, Uncle Brian knows exactly what he's doing. Because when you lure someone in like this, when you are the devil, you have bad actors do your missions. Who is the devil in this? The Baphomet, one of the lower five. That's another. It's Uncle Brian. So he wanted everything to do. He wanted Higgy and all of these little minion troopers. And I'm going to tell you something. Trooper Paul, you know, the crime whisperer. The crime scene told me. Now, if that was me, then I might be able to get away with that. But no. The crime scene whisperer, Trooper Paul, who is now ruined beyond. His life is ruined, my dears. And this mess for him has just started. Oh, it's just started. Watch. His family is ruined. Life is ruined. This whole thing. Now, we've got 3 troopers right now under investigation with IA that we know of. We now have cops retiring. We've got Trooper Paul. Yes, Trooper Paul was the crime scene whisperer. Crash dummy. Yes, Trooper Paul. Trooper Paul is not going to be, you're not going to see him again because he's worthless in this. Look at him. Can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. They're not going to have him, maybe just a little sort of kinda, but they're not going to have him go into a big defense testimony again. Proctor won't be. Nikki Garino won't be. Lieutenant Gallagher maybe, but now he's retired and he's probably going to go off to the cosmic unknown to Florida or somewhere and walk away. This case for the CW is falling apart at breakneck speeds. And what are they going to do? They're going to keep on. Why? Because they have to. Because evil doesn't give up. I don't know if you know this or not, but the attorney that Jen McCabe has, I've heard, allegedly, supposedly, does not take plea deals. Does not negotiate plea deals. So she's hit or she's walking. But my darlings, I'm going to tell you something. She is hit, in my opinion. So there you have it. You're the first to know, and I will probably go ahead and end this stream, and then I will put it out there to the public later on tonight so everyone can see. But we've got a lot more coming. That's what I want you to know. Do you remember how, pardon me, do you remember how in some of the past readings I've said that things are coming out September 13th, Friday the 13th? Look at the energy. Just look at the posts of David Yannetti. Look at the posts of DEA Daddy Sean. Look at the posts of other one. I saw some from Turtle Boy today. Some things are coming out. Lieutenant Gallagher is. I mean, the energy is right for things to start going. And we're here for it, aren't we? Just remember the SOS theory. And Auntie B said, yes, she wants to know how many others are there. And she means cases and people where they framed. Oh, honey, many. Many. I'm going to tell you what can be done. I'm going to tell you what can be done. If the feds find enough crap that's been going on, you know, they've already brought in, who was it? A big captain or chief or something that was from somewhere else to put over. If they find that there's so much, the feds can actually step in and take over and clean this up. They can. Will they? I don't know. This is huge, my friend. And it's not just contained to this little nucleus of it's not just this little nucleus of where, you know, for Karen Reed and for Sandra Birchmore. Oh, there's many more. Go back 40 years to Sandra Beale. Go back even more. There's been something. Why do you think? Look, I think police officers need to be paid well. I do. They put their lives on the line. And I know police officers that are good. And this makes them mad, angry. Like the LV cops. It makes them mad. And it should. But they don't need, for that particular area, $332,000 in 1 year? Honey. You know what that means. SOS. So what happens when you have an SOS situation and not save our ship? You're going to see the nucleuses start falling apart, because at some point, the mindset that goes through is, this isn't worthless. This isn't worth it. I can't do it anymore. I don't know how some of these people, I don't know how some of these people lasted this long. How do you last this long in this game? How? Elizabeth, save our souls. It better be that. But I can tell you, ever since Matthew Farwell was arrested August 28th, they're shaking in their boots. You don't see any of these bad actors around. Remember how Jennifer would walk down the sidewalk? Remember that? Daring people to harass her because she just thought she was. And can I say this before we leave? I think, and I've actually told this to Microdots, I believe in my heart that Jennifer McCabe is into some type of dark arts. Yes. Why, in my opinion? Because she has all those signs. And plus, DEA Daddy, didn't he put some type of something? I think he interviewed a neighbor or something who said that Jen said, watch me. I can make that person across the room pick up his beer and drink it. Watch me. What? What in the name of all that's holy are these people about? And when you start, I'm kidding. There are some times when I'm going to tell you at that 3 a.m. in the middle of the morning, 3 a.m. when all the microwaves are down, and I'll be wondering about these things, and I'll think, you know what? I'm going to get up And my darlings, sometimes the cards that come out for that, and these are random polls that I do because, hello, that's what I do. They're random polls that I do. And I'm going to tell you, these cards for these people are just flippin' well, dang right, downright scary. And at 3 a.m. in the morning, when you hear nothing, when it's quiet, and you get a little tap on your shoulder, because that's what happens to me. Sometimes I get a tap on my shoulder that means, Zelda, you're either on the right track, or you need to look in a different direction, or you need to go somewhere, or you need to do this. I listen. Of course, I want them all in cuffs, but I really want Jen first. She did. Karen was unbelievable. Me too. Me too. I think what will happen with them. Hey, I'm down for the perp walks, man. I want to see them perp walking these guys. Chook, chook, chook. That's what I want to see. Standing there going, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. How long before I can get out? And first of all, I'm going to tell you this. I'm thinking about this. Remember when we saw all this with Karen, and she's at the crime scene, and when is she telling supposedly Jen to Google search how long to die in the snow, and then she does another one, how long to die in the cold? Why would you have someone Google search that? I mean, I know Karen was really flipped out. Did Karen really ask her to do that? I don't know. I think it's the same thing kind of that they were saying, oh, I hit him. No, she was saying, could I have hit him? But now these newspapers, in reverse at breakneck speeds, who does this amount of 24 miles an hour backwards? That would not have killed him in that manner. He would have been shredded. He would have flown. Seriously. If she hit him with that force, he wouldn't have just dropped over a couple of feet or a few feet in the yard. He would have done the he would have done that. What do you think Jen is doing? My darling, I think she's into a dark, in my opinion now, I can't prove it, but she sure looks like it. Her facial features have changed since the beginning of this trial. If you go back and look at her pictures, they've changed. And that happens to someone who is trying to manipulate outcomes and into compelling, which is a certain part of witchy doodle type stuff. The dark stuff. Dark. Like bad. That's what I think. Because she's doing everything that she can possibly do to compel and instruct and seed planting, manipulation. Why can't I talk today? Manipulative. Anti-BB2. If I was Garino, I would get my affairs in order. Oh, I think they all have been, my darling, and you're absolute right. And you also say, oh, I read somewhere Karen denied telling Jen that, but why would she ask her anyway? There are pyramid. Happy Friday the 13th. Why can I not even talk? There are paramedics all over the scene. They would know. Absolutely. We all know what that story is behind all that. How long, you know, here's what you do. You ready? I'm a dumb broad. Why don't I just Google something that someone, the feds, could read later? Elizabeth said that is scary. Yes, it is. I'd like to stand before her someday. And yes, she looks different. Yes, she does look different. Yes, she does. You know, you can tell evil by the strength because it seems like they just keep grinding and grinding. But this will come to an end because there are good people, there are good cops, there's good feds, there's good people want to see the good. This will come to an end. And Karen, in my humblest opinion, will be acquitted on all three charges. And then we're going to fly like an eagle. We will. One of these days, I want to get up to that area. I haven't gone now because well, first of all, I'm too busy. The energy is not right, but I do want to go up there. And when I do, I'm going to go meet Richie with microdots, and I'm going to um, just kind of get my vibe of the area. I'm going to say this. One of the reasons that I'd love to have Karen Reed's house is because there's a lot of vibe there. Now I know what the house is, and I know where it is, and I know what the address is, and I have pictures of the inside, and I can't share that, and I don't want to for privacy reasons. But I'm going to tell you, John is there. John's got a lot of energy there. I don't care how much these crews, I don't care how much, my darlings, that these crews have gone in, the cleanup crews have gone into 34 Fairview. He's still there. His energy is looping. Anytime there is an abrupt, I'm going to say, accident, that you lose your life, your energy remains. Doesn't mean your soul does. It means your energy does. There's two things. I know you've heard of spirit and soul. The spirit is the intellect. It's the brain wave of the soul. Our soul is what, when the silver cord breaks and we immediately go back to our Father. But I'm also going to tell you, the energy can and does remain. That's how it is. And the weird thing about that is it's not confusing, but it's because it's almost as though there's something that has to be completed, and then that energy is released. So it's not that his soul is still there. And I'm wary, and I was also almost going to do it. I think you probably knew this. I'm wary of doing that sort of thing and having these readings where you hear these things talk, because I want to tell you that level is real. That is real, hearing things talking on a different dimension. It's not heaven. You don't know what's on that dimension. Things can really pretend they're mimics to be people. And I don't want to mislead anyone. And plus, I think that borderlines a little bit on necromancy, which in the book of Samuel, if you read about the witch of Endor, I'm not into that. But I'm going to tell you, I just am, I know something is there. Now, I want to ask you, my friends, and let me know. You ready? Let me know. I've got some great content that I can share with you for Halloween. And no, we're not even there yet, but hello, I'm always there. Do you want to see that type of thing? Do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear about how my grandmother and I used to go, and my grandfather, we'd go on these paranormal investigations, and there were this happening, and one time we found a body. Do you want to hear about any of this? What would you like? Think about it. Let me know in the comments what you would like to hear for the Halloween and the witchy season and all this, because I want to start working up to that now, because I got a lot that I can share with you. And if you like that kind of thing, go into my playlist and find Dark Tales with Zelda. Oh, I've got some wild tales of real experiences, card reading experiences, paranormal experiences, all kinds of things. I've lived long enough on this face of this earth to be able to share my experiences with you. And clear from the beginning, as of next year, I will have been reading, are you ready? 48 years. That is a long time. My dear Standing Stones, you are a Sag. I love that. I love that. Then I'm also going to be giving you an update on my moving and my manifestation of, I have great stories of Salem, Massachusetts when I was there. Great stories of, I used to study with the Edgar Cayce Foundation. Dude, I've been around, and that's why sometimes I get tired. But I'll never get tired of any of this, and I'll never get tired of any of you. And I've got some great stories. Some great stories that you guys will love. So let me know in the comments. Now, the other thing that I want to know, and some of you have already ordered, and I want you to know this. We have a Friday the 13th special, a video reading special. For $13, you get one question. The link I put in the description is for a limited time only, and you have to order by midnight on US time. Follow the link, go there, get your reading, one question, fill out the form. That's great. The other thing I want you to see, my darlings, is if you would like to have a regular reading, please, there's also the link in the description. And there's a link here on the banner in the ticker. If you want more than one question, you can either, you see this QR code up here in the corner. You can either do that. Don't know where they are, so we're doing this. You can do that, or we'll get it worked out for you. Okay. Now, the other thing too is, please do me a favor and subscribe and click that notification bell if you haven't already, because I sure do love it that you're here. And if you want to really talk about things, and I mean other types of things, join me on Patreon. We're going to be doing even more of a deeper dive, and we can talk about things that we can't talk about here technically. And those probably will not go public. So this particular live, I will put as public for people to come in and see. And so there we are. So don't forget to do that for me, my darlings. I really appreciate you. And here we are. Let me see. Elizabeth, I heard they didn't disclose what happened. It was the feds that informed them. Honestly, I don't know what I would do if I were them. I'd have to think about it. You're right, Auntie B. It was the feds who stepped in and saw that this was kind of sort of going downhill, and they gave the defense team a lot. But Auntie Bev squashed it on the judicial level. So, yes. Oh, did you, Elizabeth? I had the book Sleeping Prophet. I'm going to tell you something. It was great when I was there, when Mr. Casey passed away, his son took over, and things changed a little bit. But while I was there is when I went on, it was in Virginia Beach, Virginia, is I went on my first paranormal investigation with a group, and we weren't allowed to do it. We were told not to do it because it was very obvious we didn't know what we were doing. But we wanted to do it anyway, and we did, and we had a blast, and we caught things. And I'm going to tell you about that story because there's a funny part about that story when the time comes. And Elizabeth, I'm going to do a reading again. I keep screwing up the form. Don't worry, darling. All you have to do is this. If you feel you mess up the form, just email support@trueoracle.com and say, look, I keep messing up the form, but this is what I want to ask. And we'll take care of you. So Standing Stones, you are the 17th December. My mother was actually December 12th. My son is Christmas Day. He is a Capricorn. So there we go. I like Capricorns. Sounds interesting. It really is. And it's enough that I just want to share it with all of you. And you're quite welcome, Elizabeth. So with that being said, my darlings, you can watch this over again. I'm going to release it as public, probably in a little while, probably in another hour or two. Standing Stone says, my moon and sun both in Capricorn. Well, you know what? I wish I knew. The closest thing that I was told, my card mama, there you go. I was told, my dear, that, well, first of all, the year that I was born, they did not put birth times on the birth certificates. So my mom couldn't remember by the time my sister and I started asking. All I know, it was around 4:30ish in the afternoon. One of us was born at 4:35 or the other one was born at, I don't know. But what I do know is that I was born between a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, and during a Mercury retrograde. So there you go. I'm older than you, lady. No, I don't think so, my darling. I'll tell you how old I am. I'm going to be 65 in March. I don't feel like it, and I don't want to be. But here I am. And if I want to remain on this earth, I've got to accept the age that comes with it. So I just kind of say, I don't want that. And here I am. Anyway, my darling. Yes way. Yes way. So there we go. 69 to December. Oh my goodness. No way. I could never have guessed that because you are a young'un too. Yes. Auntie B. Why wouldn't they put the time? Well, I don't really know. There's some counties that don't do that. I don't really know. And then they started again or whatever. I was thankful that they did that with my son and daughter, though. But they were not born in the same county that I was. Elizabeth, I was going to say 48 maybe. Well, aren't you you get the prize. Thank you very much. Oh, boy. I'm going to say with lots of Lady Clairol and lots of Lancome and CoverGirl, I'm still here and I'm going to be here. So that's the idea. So anyway, my darlings, it is time for me to go to work. And I'm going to go on the psychic line. 12:53 a.m., 12:17, 19. It was a cold night. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can bet. I can bet. So my darlings, I'm going to go to work now. And if you want to come over and see my profile, you see all that I've done, read my reviews, come on over to trueoracle.com. There's a bio there. I've read for Hollywood, I've read for stars, I've read for law enforcement. I've just read. And there has been some times that I've walked away from it because it sometimes has been just too much. Sometimes. And sometimes being in relationships were not for me. And you know what? That's still okay, because you know what my theme song is? Love is kind of crazy with a spooky little girl like me. And that is absolutely the truth. So with that being said, my darlings, I wish you the best. I wish you a lot of love. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to see you soon. I love you all. Bye bye. And we're going to see more. We're going to talk about Higgy more. And you know what? I'm still going to have a live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So be here. And I'm just going to try to keep finding out more to bring to you. But thanks a lot for coming here today. Be safe, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you Saturday night. And much love to each and every one of you. Love you, and I'll see you. Goodbye. Whoops. Look what I've done. Welcome, Friday the 13th. Let's try that again. There we go. See you later, everyone. Love you.